Okay, so Wednesday, 5th of June, 2024. So, the opportunity cost of not owning Bitcoin. So this is a bit of an anecdotal little adventure, whatever else, and some observations. Now, back in October, November, so autumn 2021, I guess at least, I was looking into different DeFi projects in general. And then I noticed that there was Luna. Luna, and it was paying out 20% or so per year. And I thought, I did the maths. Well, basic maths anyway. If I put £100 into this, I get, in theory, £20 a year back in interest. Happy chappy, very nice. And for the next 5 years, double the money. Very nice, happy chappy. And then I thought, well, that £20, I'll just put into Bitcoin. And let's say every January, £20 here, just put it straight into BTC. But then I thought, why would I do that? Because over the next 5 years, the price will go up. It will mean that strategy is less and less viable. It means it's going to be, that £20 would buy fewer and fewer Satoshis. So I then reasoned and thought, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because, again, fewer and fewer Satoshis over the next 5 years. Now, this is before it crashed, so that's a complete different story. In hindsight, that strategy would have not worked at all. But the principle was very sound, where I thought, over the next 5 years, that same £20 will buy fewer and fewer Satoshis. I reasoned. Fair enough. So I thought, I might as well take this 100 right here, right now, and just buy the Satoshis and be done with it. No point in delaying or messing around, just go straight for it. Fair enough. Now, a few months ago as well, I was with a mentor of mine, and he was talking about how he effectively hodled, we could say, property for the past, let's say 40 or so years. And I thought, what's the CAGR on that, the compounded annual growth? And I thought, well, the properties will be worth this much and the rental income will be worth this much over the past 40 or so years. Compare that to, say, hodling BTC for 40 years as well, today into the future, 40 years. And we could argue, let's make an assumption that it compounds at 20, 30, 40% per year. Over the next 40 years, the BTC will be worth this much versus the property over that much as commercial property, okay, in the UK. Fair enough. Now, I then realised that the opportunity cost of the BTC, in that case, the property, the hodling for 40 years, was about 90 to 100 million pounds, 100 million pounds. That's an insane amount. Now, of course, you could argue how you're going to turn that into food, how you're going to pay for things with that. Of course, there are ways, El Salvador, legal tender, capital gains, or sell it, pay the capital gains, or use its collateral, technicalities. But we're talking a lot of millions here. In theory, we're talking 40 years into the future. Fair enough. A lot can happen in 40 years. But that was the key thing there. The opportunity cost of not owning it, even 40 years, was astronomical. And the opportunity cost of slowly buying into it over the next 5 years was noticeable. So that kind of showed that it reinforces this idea that, yeah, you could argue, stack harder, basically. Hashtag stack harder. I did a video about this a few weeks ago, a month or something ago. Hashtag stack harder. And there's the maths right there. Imagine hodling for 40 years and the opportunity cost is immense. So in theory, had my mentor, let's say, had he hodled for the past 40 years BTC instead of property, now of course it's hypothetical, but still, the opportunity cost is astronomical. The same with the Luna example, all things being equal, had I spent that £20 each year and slowly moved into BTC, as opposed to £100 right here, right now, it would be a completely different number of Satoshis I could have bought. Fair enough. Now, there's a very interesting website called Nakamoto Portfolio, and it talks about how different allocations, different percentages of allocation to BTC in a portfolio, different combinations, gives you different levels of volatility, risk, returns, all sorts of things. Fair enough. And it shows you that had you had 1%, 5%, 10% of your portfolio in Bitcoin, hodling Satoshis basically, this is what your returns would have been from whatever time period. And all the maths on the Satoshi Nakamoto, or Nakamoto portfolio, the hypothetical maths of this hodling for 40 years, and the strategical the strategy behind the Luna 20% per year kind of thing shows that actually, yeah, the opportunity cost is immense. It's immeasurable. It's 20% compound annual growth on a bad day, you could argue. But we'll see what percentage growth there are. But if you just look at the historic ones, we can see whatever you see. You're an adult, you can figure out what percentage you see, then average it out, project it into the future, and there you are. So that kind of shows you that by having fiat today, it shows you how few satoshis it could buy into the future. Oh my hell, bloody hell, that's insane. So then you realise, then it points ultimately to hashtag stack harder. Of course, a satoshi today is worth more than tomorrow, I guess. Yeah, makes sense. The logic and it makes sense. Buying now is better than buying later, i.e. stack harder, i.e. don't delay. You mine that fiat, hot potato, straight into satoshis. Makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. 40 years, Luna 20%, 5 years, and the Nakamoto portfolio, it just makes sense. And interestingly, the price has been a bit nice quite recently, up and to the right, which is always nice. I try not to follow the price really, but it's a good indicator where directions are going. It's good and bad because it shows. It's nice to see green candles and things going up in price, but also it's kind of bad because it shows that the system is itself. I always imagine the wheels are falling off the cart, so to speak. Things are getting worse. You kind of do and don't want to see £1 million of Bitcoin because it kind of shows that things in life are going to get a little bit expensive, a little bit crazy. And we'll see over the next 5-10 years. We'll see. Fair enough. But it's nice, and I was thinking, wow, thank you, Adrian. A year or 2 or 3 ago, even 20, whenever, I was thinking, damn, I am very thankful for myself for the decisions, let's say, I made a couple of years ago. Damn, and looking at the satoshis priced in pounds, I'm thinking, damn, yeah, I'm very happy with the decisions I made a couple of years ago. Yeah, and that kind of just, again, anecdotal, but it just shows you the opportunity cost of owning or not owning it over the long term. It's powerful, it really, really is. So, yes, damn, all I can say, damn. So it seems to be that there's a big opportunity cost of not having satoshis into the future, holding them, cold storage, being sovereign, way into the future. Stack harder. Basically, hashtag stack harder. Stack harder. That's the logical conclusion to draw from this. Stack harder. But otherwise, you will see